I was hoping that we were going to have a debate in good faith here. So just along those lines, let me clarify something you said. Yeah. What is the surah? Is that in the Quran?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay. So the surah, the Quran, defines what an infidel is.
What does it define as?
And it says infidels are those that say God is the Christ, the Son of Mary. That's Surah 5:17.
It doesn't say that.
And then it says, make war on the infidels who dwell around you. That's Surah 9:123. And then it says, kill the disbelievers wherever they find them. Surah 2:191. So in the Quran, it literally defines what an infidel is as a non-believer, and then it says kill them.
Okay, let me rebut that, and then I'll go to yours. So I need to almost have double the time.
It's
too. I always forget
because
both of me and him speak really fast as well. So
sorry.
No, it's both of us. So in terms of what you said, so again, that's just fake news because in reality, the Quran actually has categories, right? Infidel, or as you say, kafir, isn't for Muslims and Christians. It's actually for people who are disbelievers, atheists, pagans. The Christians and Jews are basically categorized in the Quran as Ahl al-Kitab, the people of the book. And there's a specific category for them. For example, according to Muslims, you can marry people from the book, you can eat from their food, and so on and so forth. So when you're making that definition, you just made it up.
And Islam speaks higher of Jesus than, Judaism.
Judaism, can I respond? Judaism does not mention Jesus. Yeah. Okay, fun fact. I'm happy to respond to any of the accusations. Yeah, there is no strength to he's burning hell. No, he isn't. I want you to continue and then I'll respond.
Maybe he's not. Maybe
it's not a thing. I'll respond.
Okay, but they do think that Jesus was just some sort of magician and that his miracles were magic and not.
No, we don't call him a magician. We don't talk about him, and I think that might kind of upset non-Jews because they think we have this great conspiracy. But I don't want to interrupt you, so I'll let you continue. But I'm happy to talk about what Jews believe in Jesus because he wasn't really a factor in our lives. He was Jewish.
Okay, so in terms of, so I mentioned this point, and the second verse, what was the second verse you mentioned? The third one you mentioned, that is specifically Surah 9, verse 23 or 30 something, wherever it is, that's specifically talking about in a time of war. So in a time of war, what the issue was is at that time, the Muslims didn't want to fight because what happened was the pagans, because it was Muslims who gave, there was no Christians, it was Muslims who gave, it was Christians who gave sanctuary to the Muslims at that time. It was the Christian king of Abyssinia who, when they went to find sanctuary because the pagans were going to kill them, they read the verse, the Muslim view of Mary, because Muslims view Mary as very positive. And so when he read it, he was like, wow, this is amazing. This is the same as the biblical view, unlike the the view in Judaism, in terms of Mary. So that specifically is talking about when there was a war between the pagans and the non-Muslims. What was happening was because they knew each other before, and then they became this kind of animosity because Muslims are pagans, and pagans were trying to eradicate the Muslims. And so therefore what it was is, look, they're fighting you, they're killing you in the battle, so don't stand back, don't be a pacifist. You're going to have to resort to fighting in battle, in war. And it's specifically talking about wartime. So again, this is just wrong. It's just the kind of misinterpretation of the Quran when it never talks about that.
We have 1,400 years of Islam committing war against its neighbors. So I think it's one continuous war. Yeah. Are you guys familiar with taqiyya? I think what we've just witnessed is, the dishonesty of trying to frame Islam as something peaceful and not what it actually is. But we actually have a track record that we can point to.
Yeah.
Right?
So
we actually have people, even in Texas where I live, we have mosques that are preaching this very thing, talking about how they're going to make everybody submit, and isn't that what Islam means? Submit.
It means submit to God, right? Not submit, make people
to
submit.
Islam's version of God.
To God, yeah, not to make people submit. But in terms of what you said, no, you didn't say taqiyya. Maybe you're getting confused because you're a dishonest person in terms of the verses that you're putting in. But what is taqiyya? Taqiyya is found in, because I thought we were going to have a respectful conversation.
We can get harsh as well. Right. It does, we are.
No, but taqiyya means, when they say taqiyya, first of all, taqiyya is not found within Sunni Islam. I'm a Sunni Muslim. The claim is found within Shia Islam, even though I disagree that even Shia believe in that. But I'm not an expert on Shia Islam. But within Sunni Islam, taqiyya is not found. So what's happened is you relate verses, and when your verses were rebutted, you were like, oh, taqiyya. No, it's not. You just came up with ridiculous arguments. You perpetuated fake news, and then you got debunked. Now, in terms of your argument, in terms of submitting 1,400 years of history has found many expansions, right? I agree with him that Judaism hasn't expanded. I believe when it came to Judaism after 1945, they mowed
48.
No, I mean after World War II. I mean after the Holocaust and the World War II.
But the state was established in 48.
I'm not talking about the state of Israel.
Okay.
I'm talking about after the Holocaust.
Sure.
Because it finished in 1945, isn't it?
Yeah.
The World War II.
Yep, you're right.
what happened was that Jewish people found themselves in a situation where the mantra never again. And I believe that what they did was they didn't expand physically, because Judaism, unlike Christianity and Islam, although he can deny it, they both those religions evangelize. Judaism doesn't evangelize. Judaism, what they did was they made sure that they expanded in terms of power and control as opposed to territorial dominance. In terms of expansion over history, you talk about 1,400 years of history, but actually if you look at it, yes, there was Arab expansion, there's no doubt about it, or Muslim expansion, whatever you want to call it, right? There was definitely, right? And I'm against that, because I believe that, I'm against I only believe in defensive war. That being said, to make the argument that this never happened with Christianity or with anyone else, it did. Like, look at, for example, North America, look at South America. These weren't Christian countries. Look at Australia, look at New Zealand. So expansion has happened, of course, in the past. Obviously, I don't believe that was part of Christianity. I believe that these people expanded going against the faith, even though one may argue that these were very religious Protestant Christians. And similarly with Islam, I believe that it happened, but I don't believe that it followed the edicts of Islam. In terms of just the last point, because there's so many points that have been made. When you said that you don't find someone with a kippah blowing someone up or whatever it may be. The difference is, first of all, there is extremism, right? There is extreme. But when you say disproportionate, that's where I disagree. There's 2 billion Muslims. You have some extreme elements. Some of that was done because of propagation of this extreme elements within Islam. For example, Wahhabi Islam or extreme Salafist Islam, which was propagated and promoted by the allies of the United States of America, like Saudi and UAE, whose views I don't agree with, but they did push that. They pushed that kind of view. They pushed those ideas. And then some of those people are paid for hire as well, because they're poor, you pay them, and they, so in Syria, if you remember, a lot of the people, some of them were ISIS. They did believe in those ideas, even though they were funded by the United States of America and Israel, but they are supported by Israel. But then on the other hand, you also had it where they were just paid by hire. So for example, you had people from Uzbekistan, Central Asia coming in just because they were being paid. In terms of when you don't find someone with a kippah, yeah, because the difference is they're not going to go fight. They're not going to go. They're going to get someone else to fight. They're going to get another person to fight. They're going to get other countries to go to war. They're going to do it in a different way because they're a lot more smarter in that perspective.
So let me respond, because there were a lot of accusations being made. Again, if you want to make the claim that Jews who wear kippahs in the United States aren't blowing themselves up because they'll get Muslims to blow themselves up, you're going to have to substantiate that. You just said we're much smarter.
No, I said they control.
Right. So you're going to have to. So let me say you're going to have to substantiate the claim that American Jews, and which American Jews are paying, and who specifically are they paying to blow themselves up. The premise of this debate, again, was not theological differences, although I am happy to get into theological debate. We can talk about how in 628 CE, Muhammad led his army into Saudi Arabia to kill the entire Jewish community, which is why even today you had, when all the Jewish hostages were being released in Gaza, Khaybar al-Yahud, which is a chant they're still saying today. But I don't really want to get into that, but we can if you want. All I'm saying is, irrespective of the theological differences, what matters are the practical political ramifications. All I care about is that today, the reason we have such a large refugee crisis is because countries, predominantly Islamic countries in the Middle East, are failed states. The reason we're talking about regime change is because there's a country called Iran, the Islamic regime of Iran, that will kill you. Laws on the books right now that if you convert to a different religion, they will kill you. You know what Judaism's answer is if you convert to another religion? Well, unfortunately, intermarriage is one of the problems facing Judaism. There's no consequences to intermarriage, which again, theologically, it's a bit problematic. But politically, no, there's zero consequences because we believe...
theologically, but I'm just asking, I'm not interested in...
theologically, what happens?
No,
your kids aren't Jewish.
From my understanding, that's it.
That's it. Your kids aren't Jewish. But it's not that we would kill you. And again, we even hear cases in the United States where communities that have a tremendous problem with assimilation, you have honor killings because people are converting or they're leaving the religion of Islam entirely. So whether that's based on a true or authentic interpretation of the Quran, who the hell cares? All I care about is that people are actually being killed by radical Muslims, which brings me to my last point, and then I'll shut up, which is to say this. You can't, this is one of the problems I have with Israel-Gaza, and I'm happy to get into that debate later, which is to say this. Judaism believes, and Western philosophy believes this as well, that all human beings, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a Jew, whether you're a Christian, it doesn't matter. You are born with human agency and you can make choices in life. True. And the only person who is responsible, this is actually what Dennis Prager of PragerU taught me, the only person who is responsible for the choices in your life is you. You have the ultimate authority to decide what your life will end up looking like. And to simply say, and this goes back to your point, that the reason that there is Islamic terrorism is because something the Jews or something Israel or something that they experience makes something of your life. After World War II, which actually was a genocide, where 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust, and I know everyone on Twitter is going to say, 271, you can't bake cookies or whatever. Whatever, a lot of Jews were killed. Okay? You're missing the point. Exactly, you're missing the point. But point being, the Jewish response was not to pillage, rape German women in Germany and Poland and Hungary and Ukraine. The response was to make something of their life. So when you talk about the disproportionate amount of Jews in politics or in media, it's not a conspiracy. It actually is based in reality that Jews believe tremendously in the power of education, that you have to have professional success, that you have to build a better life for your community. And again, I wish all peoples, Muslims, Christians, blacks, they would take that approach as well. There are actually Jewish organizations in the United States today. They're not very successful, but they will actually try to the best of their ability to get Jewish kids out of public school into Jewish day schools. And I wish, I would hope that Muslim communities in America and Christian communities in America did the same thing. Christian parents should be teaching their kids the values of Christianity. They should be sending their kids to Christian day schools. America would be such a much better country if more Christians went to church, if more Christians went to the Bible. And Judaism says that's absolutely great. And unfortunately, let's call a spade a spade. Leaving aside the theology on a practical matter, there is a disproportionate and significant amount of Muslims in America, and Muslim leadership in particular, who do not believe in the things I just said.
Well, okay, so just coming back on that, I just want to make this one point, though. And Shabbos, I might be wrong. I don't want to misrepresent you, but weren't you kind of a leftist and then you became conservative? Is that okay? So why is it that all the young people, like I Show Speed, the biggest live streamer that there is right now, is Free Palestine? If radical Islam is so dangerous, why would you say the majority of people under 30 support Palestine?
That is the question. I'm glad you asked that. So there are two ways of answering it. Number one, you can hate Jews as much as you want. You can hate Israel as much as you want, hate Bibi as much as you want. Fine. But I am begging the American people. I know my name is a walking fucking stereotype, okay? I know I wear the funny hat and I have the crooked nose. I get it. Hate me as much as you want. But I am begging you, do not listen to people, whether they're on the right or the left, who tell you that no one is going to, fuck you if you don't take crystal meth and look a certain way. No one is going to give you a job if you don't denounce Israel. The only arbiter of whether you will have a successful life is you. Stop listening to low IQ, mentally challenged podcasters or individuals on the Twitterverse who are telling you that the reason your life sucks is because something the Jews. And again, hate us as much as you want. I don't care. But I'm so deeply concerned about the demoralization of young people in America, which is why Charlie Kirk was such an incredible human being, not because he supported Israel, not because he liked Jews, but because he told people, you will be a better person if you get married and have kids and find Jesus. And as an Orthodox Jew, I am telling you, that is the best antidote to the crap that young people are experiencing today. Why are young people so heavily medicated? Why are they disproportionately depressed and have anxiety? It's because they don't have Jesus in their life. It's because they don't have meaning. It's because they're listening to people online telling them that you'll never get ahead in life. You'll never find a woman. You'll never be successful because something the Jews. So that's first and foremost. Hate Israel as much as you want, but please, for the love of God, go to church. In terms of why so many young people are into this, look, I know this is going to be clipped online and you're going to take this out of context, but let's call a spade a spade. ByteDance is a subsidiary of the Chinese Communist Party. The Chinese Communist Party, on record, has stated that it'd be a good thing for their long-term foreign policy to have young Americans not only hate Israel and hate the Jews, but to hate the West, to distrust American institutions, to distrust the system at large. And one of the best points of that is the flashpoint of Israel-Palestine, which is why you had millions of young Americans, particularly on college campuses like at Harvard where I was, who were talking about freeing Palestine and supporting Hamas, and not a single person is interested in supporting the Iranian people as they are also being gunned down in the streets, chanting for the exact same rights that I believe Palestinians should have in Gaza as well. So a lot of it is disinformation. And the last point I'll make, and then I promise I'll stop talking, which is to say this. At Harvard, at Columbia, at Yale, at Penn, at UCLA, all across American institutions of higher learning, we have been fed a diet of political indoctrination of diversity, equity, inclusion, that the world is comprised of two categories, the oppressed and the oppressors. And you have carte blanche freedom, if you are the oppressed, to do whatever it is you would like to rid yourself of that that oppression, which is why Luigi Mangione, who shot and killed Brian Thompson, the United Healthcare CEO, in broad daylight, every single age demographic in this country condemns what he did, with one exception, 18 to 24-year-olds. Why? Because he was oppressed. He had back problems. So he has the freedom, he has the moral obligation to rid himself of that oppression, which is why you can show my classmates at Harvard, you can show young people the most horrific images of October 7th. It will not move them in any measurable way, because even though Israel is roughly 2/3 Middle Eastern, so it's not a white country at all, Israel has the misappropriation, has the stereotype of being a white country. And if you're white, you're part of the oppressed oppressor class. So Israel will always be the oppressor. They can never do anything right. A lot of it has to do with these binary DEI. And again, I'm happy to get into a debate of Israel-Gaza, but that's my general consensus, leaving aside Israel-Gaza, that young people are too often put into these stupid binaries of literally black versus white, which is why you have these insane, dumb, white liberal women who are, trying to run over ICE officers to save their illegal immigrant Somali Muslim friend. It's insanity.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Culture War podcast. We're live every Friday, 10 a.m. to noon, so subscribe and come hang out.